All right. Welcome, one and all, to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I am John, and I am here with the host with the most, Brian. How you doing today, buddy?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Looking forward to another beautiful sunshiny day.
Oh, it's going to start getting hot. It's going to start getting warm here in Southern California, man. It was creeping up, and then we had a couple gloom days, and I was thinking, oh, they're going to delay summer. No, I think it's coming with full force.
That's good. I would much rather have 100 degrees than 60.
Oh God.
But
I
hey,
don't know what I'm
I'm
going to do with you. I don't know what I'm going to
I'm
do
the
with you,
I'm the
Mister.
special circumstance.
You are special. There ain't no doubt about that. Just for all the way from that yellow school bus in high school. All right. So talking about who's hot and who's not, let's talk about Juan Soto over there at the New York Mets. He's having
Why?
because they're only paying him 765 million. Let's get some stats on where he is as of Wednesday night. He's hitting 224, 8 home runs, 25 RBIs, and he was 0 for 4 against the White Sox. I didn't think that was possible. Yeah. What
Oh,
do you
it's
think of
always
Juan Soto?
possible. Uh,
Well, because the White Sox are
what
so bloody terrible.
are the checks still clearing?
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Hopefully he
It
didn't
doesn't
take it in
matter.
crypto. He didn't take
Okay.
it in
Are
crypto.
are the Mets playing well?
They are. They're playing very well.
All right. Well then, I guess yes, he's underperforming individually, but as long as the team's doing well, it won't be uh, as much of a red flag to everyone.
Yeah, that's true. The heat's off you, right? I mean, until
Yes.
until you start all of a sudden get that 5 game losing streak, and then the New York media just descends on you like a pack of jackals, right? They're gonna
Yeah,
cut
but
you to the bone.
as long as the Mets are still up there with the Phillies hanging tough, uh, it's not going to be a huge issue. It's going to be talked about for sure, but not
Sure.
to the extent of, man, the Mets are down to fourth place. Juan Soto's not doing nothing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
thank God for Pete Alonso, right?
Boy, he's carrying the pitching staff. The
Yeah.
pitching staff has been surprisingly good there. All right, we are going to veer off into a Red Sox type of thing.
Oh no.
We are. Yeah, I know it's coming. Oh man, I'm going to beat you up here. I'm going to beat you up. I am ambush. This is literally ambush journalism. What's coming? But we're going to start out with Boston is currently in fourth place in the AL East, behind Tampa, who's second, and Toronto, who's third. What do you think of the Red Sox so far, Brian?
I think they're lucky the Orioles are having such a bad season.
Thank you, Lord.
Or Alex Cora would be heading to his third, fifth place finish in the last 4 years. Way to earn that extension.
You got that right. Hey, let us talk about that. Let's go back into the history and let's talk about your favorite GM. I'm being sarcastic for anybody out there. Is Dave Dombrowski. Now, Dave Dombrowski was the Red Sox GM when they won their last title in 2018. He had a parting of the ways with management, probably because he didn't really value the farm system as much. He was about the star players, whatever. They brought in Cher Bloom, and he rebuilt the farm system actually pretty well. I think he didn't really get enough credit. But Dave Dombrowski, I'm going to throw some numbers at you. Since he took over the Phillies in 2021, he actually took over in December of 2020, but let's just go with the season. In the 5 years since, the Red Sox are 356 and 350, and the Phillies are 390 and 316. Do you think do you think the Red Sox made a mistake parting ways with Dave Dombrowski?
Oh, well, from a pure baseball, winning baseball games on the major league level, yes.
What else is there?
Well,
We're
well,
we're not getting we're not getting Girl Scout badges here, guy.
to the owners, you know, depending on what they want to
You're right.
do, it's their philosophy might be a little bit different. Their philosophy might be, yes, we want to win baseball games at Fenway Park, but we also want to do it on a budget. We
Sure.
also want to do it while keeping our farm system fairly robust so that we can always be replacing guys. And then that's going to come with a little bit of sacrifice to the major league team because you're not going to put
Is
all
it?
your resources
Look,
into it.
what about the Dodgers?
Well, what about the Dodgers?
They
I mean,
seem to navigate. They have a good,
they bring
but
up
they have a good
all
farm
these young
system.
guys. They bring up all these young guys, but how many of them actually turn into legit stars that come through their farm system? I think Will Smith's
I
the
don't
only
know.
one on the roster that you could say is a
Okay.
real all-star caliber player that's come through their system.
Well,
So
well,
their
you can
farm
you
system, everybody talks about the Dodgers farm system, but all their top guys lately are free agents.
okay, but I mean they had Cody Bellinger. Okay, they didn't stick with him. Okay, they made a decision. I mean, it's hard to say that they're not doing player development. Okay, yeah, they're like the Lakers, right? They attract stars. That's what they're going for. Okay, fine. But at the end of the day, they're the World Series champ too, right?
Yeah, once.
Okay, I agree. I'm not giving them 2020. I can tell you that right now. So, are what is your prognosis for the Red Sox for the rest of the year? We're a third of the way through.
I think it's going to probably maintain right where it is right now. I mean, they're going to
You
hover
think they're
around
coming into fourth?
500.
You think fourth?
Well, that could fluctuate. They could get to third. I don't think they'll be, maybe even second, because I don't see the Rays or the Blue Jays really making an aggressive stand either. Those three teams could be flip flopping second, third, and fourth the whole year. I don't think
Sure.
any of them are going to make the playoffs.
Okay. 7 teams make the playoffs, right?
Right, but we got
Like your kid's softball team is going to make the playoffs.
there's a couple teams out west that are going to make it, and maybe two or three from the Central.
Maybe. We'll see.
The
There's a
Yankees are
long
going to
way to
run
go,
away
but
with
you're
the
right.
East. The Yankees are going to run away with the East. The
Yeah,
Mariners, the
they
Mariners
are.
are proving to be really
No,
legit, which I think you called the
no,
Mariners.
they're not. No, they're not.
No?
They're not. No,
Okay.
you're buying the smoke because I'm going to
Okay.
tell you something. Last year they were 12 games over 500 and they barely finished over 500. They have no hitting. I don't really care what we're seeing now. I'm not believing that Cal Raleigh bullshit. I'm not that he's an MVP candidate. I'm telling you right now, they got no hitting. Right now they're in that place, right? Look, some teams are. Look, I'll tell you right now, Texas is going to finish ahead of Seattle,
I love that.
and Texas. Well, I think they are. I think
Okay.
they're a better team. They don't have any middle relief. Maybe they fix that. I will say this, that the difference between Texas and Seattle is Seattle has a GM who really doesn't make big moves at the trade deadline. Look, they got Randy Arozarena last year, blah, blah, blah. But Texas, their GM, he goes after it. Chris Young. That guy don't sit on his hands, whatever that
Nope.
is. All
He's
right.
aggressive.
We also had a milestone which I was unaware of, and I want you to absorb what I'm going to tell you. Okay,
All right.
your favorite pitcher of all time, Chris Sale, and I gotta say, I'm being sarcastic for everybody out there. I gotta say that standing ovation that the Fenway crowd gave him when he came back a couple weeks ago was just amazing. It almost brought a tear to my hard and cynical face because he did try to make it there. I think I didn't, I always liked Chris Sale. I thought he tried. It's just sometimes you just can't make it in a certain place. The success he's had in the last year and a half, he would have never had in Boston. It's just one of those things. He was just bitten. But on Wednesday of this week, he passed 2,500 strikeouts. Now listen to this list. He did it in 2,026 innings, the fastest ever. The next fastest was Randy Johnson at 2,100 innings, Pedro at 2,150, Max Scherzer at 2,155, and Nolan Ryan at 2,280. Now, obviously, Nolan had a pretty long career. Clayton Kershaw took 2,300 innings to get his 2,500 strikeout. He's averaging over a strikeout an inning. And, honestly, I am just shocked that he got there so quick. What do you think?
I'm not really shocked because of look at the era and the hitting philosophy mindset of the last 10 to 15 years. Nobody gives a crap if they strike out anymore. It plays to the pitcher. And the guys you're naming that are on that list, some of them uh, have pitched through this era as well, Scherzer and Kershaw. But for the most part, I mean, it's. I saw a stat the other day. Schwarber is leading the NL in strikeouts. He's already at 200 for the year.
200. Holy
I mean, come
crap.
on.
Is that possible? I'm being honest. Have they even had 200 at bats? I mean,
Yeah, dude.
really? Well, I mean, we're a third of the way through and they usually get 600 at bats. I mean, I'm just saying. Okay, I believe your stat. I'm not,
Hey,
but I'm
well,
like, wow.
I might not be 100% accurate on that, but it was something along
It
those
was
lines.
astronomical. It was
It
astronomical.
was yes, and it was making a comp. That
Yeah.
Tony Gwynn had that in like 4 years combined or something.
But isn't that the front offices pushing the analytics of how much
Yes,
more powerful the home run is?
yes. So it's an all or nothing mindset of the hitters, which is going to lead to more strikeouts.
Sure.
Because I'm not
Absolutely.
going to sit here and Chris said 2,500 strikeouts and a little over 2,000 innings. That's awesome. There's no doubt about it that that's awesome. But the other thing I like to look at too is when they start talking about these new era pitchers, comparing them to the all-time greats, is average innings per start.
Hmm.
That's always a big thing to me
I know it is.
because because and you talked about what you just said with the Texas Rangers. You're worried about their middle relief. That's the problem nowadays is you have to have middle relief. Let's have a
Well,
guy throw freaking 8 innings and then just bring in a closer. Or
yeah,
have him
but
freaking go 9.
Brian, I mean, Skewball had his first complete game the other day.
Yeah, we
Kudos
talked
to
about
him.
it.
Well, hold. I know he did. I know he did. But the analytics are just so off the chart when the lineup faces the pitcher for the third time. I mean, the batting average goes from 220 to like 280. I mean, it's just off the charts. And I get where they're at.
Okay. Well, a 280 batting average means one hit, less than 3 at-bats.
Yeah, but it's not
More than three
220.
at bats. More
Yeah,
than
but it's
three
not.
at bats.
I understand that, but 220 is 1 in 5, right? I mean, if we're going to start rounding around,
Yeah.
right? Okay. All right. Let me ask you something. So, who do you think, if you could pick one manager, and I was thinking about this the other day, we grew up in an era where there was big managers. We had Joe Torre, we had Sparky Anderson, we had larger than life guys. I think maybe Bruce Bochy is the only guy I could really think of who's maybe a little bigger than the game. Who do you think is the best manager, or let's put it this way: who's the one you like the most?
Man, that's tough. Uh, to be honest, I think the manager is highly, I don't want to say highly, he is overrated. They
Sure.
pull out these stats and stuff and they say a good manager will make a difference of like 2.5 games a year.
Right. Right.
I mean, unless it's Alex Cora, then it's going to be like a -7.
At minimum.
Uh,
That's by the All-Star break.
but I mean, Bruce Bochy is still out there doing it. He's had great success throughout his career. Uh, Also, Terry Francona is still out there. Bob Melvin gets all this credit for being such a great manager, yet he's never really won anything anywhere. Now you're going to say, well, that's because he's always been in Oakland. Well, then how great is he? You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
now he's over in San Francisco. Uh, you got the dude in Atlanta, Schilt. Is that Mike Schilt?
yeah, yeah,
I mean, he seems to. I think they're all pretty much the same. I don't know if there's a guy. And now the thing that they emphasized when they did that Red Sox Netflix documentary was how well Alex Cora relates to his players, and it's the
Hmm.
off the field stuff that you have to help them manage so that they can stay focused on the field and blah blah blah. I don't know how much that stuff really has an effect on a guy. I mean, I got a lot of shit going on in my life, but when I get to work, I work.
Well, look, I understand that. I understand that, but you don't have 45 people of the media examining everything you do all day, too, right? I mean, me, if I was examining, I'd be like, this is Michelangelo. That's what this guy is, right? Me, I'm Humpty Dumpty, right? I am interested though. I think that we're living in an era where the front office, the GM, the analytics guys dictate so much of it. And I think really the only thing a manager does is really decide when he's going to replace the pitcher. And I got a funny feeling that the front office controls that, don't you think?
God, that was my next take on this here when you talk about the managers. And this has been my biggest problem as a Red Sox fan with Alex Cora forever. All right,
Okay.
he seems to, and I don't know, when he says, okay, get so and so up in the bullpen,
Sure.
get my lefty up and my righty up, right? So then
Right.
we can decide which one we're pitching based on the other team's batter, not on the situation. But
Okay.
whatever. And then I don't know if the analytics are telling them go to this guy in these innings, go to this guy in these situations, or if is the manager just playing a gut feeling and he knows his players, knows their capabilities, their strengths, weaknesses, and he's going to dictate who comes in when. But Alex Cora, for the life of me, dude, every time he makes a pitching change mid-inning,
Okay.
he brings in a reliever to stop the bleeding because they gave up a run or two and there's two or three guys on base. So you got to shut this inning down. Inevitably, the guy he brings in gives up runs.
Sure.
And now is he making the call or
I
is he making the call that he was told to make? That's the
I
$1 million question that I guess none of us know.
I think we do know, and I think the bullshit that goes on is I think the GM is the pseudo coach, but he doesn't catch any of the heat, right? I mean, when the Pittsburgh Pirates hired their last manager, can't remember the guy they just fired, they said he embraced analytics, right? That's code for you're going to believe what we give you, right? You're going to buy into all that stuff. The Ron Washingtons have to placate people and go, and he's an old school manager. Let's be honest about it. He has to say, yeah, I believe in the analytics. Well, because if you don't say you are, no GM is going to hire you. I'm just telling you right now. And at the end of the day, it's not the owner's call, it's the GM. He hires the GM. He's going to run the baseball operations. And I do think all these GMs, a lot of them, are hiding behind that wall of secrecy where they don't have to take any heat for a move they mess up. Dave Roberts is a great example.
Yes, and Dave Roberts was getting knocked forever as
Absolutely.
just being the puppet head for
Sure.
what's his name, Friedman.
Friedman, yeah.
And but then all of a sudden, the Dodgers win the World Series last year, and Dave Roberts is a great manager.
Yes. We're
Was
going to
he a
give him an
puppet?
extension.
Was he the puppet or was he the manager?
Right. He
Another
was the
one. And
puppet.
now go back to the beginning of our conversation today. Dave Dombrowski. He's as old school as they get with the GMs.
Absolutely.
What do you suppose his take is over there with Rob Thompson, his manager in Philadelphia? I mean, of course they have some analytics and they have their department and they're doing all their research and due diligence and they're looking at all the numbers. But how do you feel about Dombrowski and what he's relaying to his manager, or is he letting him manage? Because he's an
I
old school GM.
I would honestly say, in my humble opinion, the guys who are actually able to manage, I would say Dombrowski's going to let it. I'm even going to say, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cashman probably gives Boone a little more leeway than most managers. they probably do in Anaheim because that's just a dumpster fire. But other than that, I think all those GMs got their fingers in that pie, and they just don't catch the heat.
You think Bruce Bochy's not making his own calls?
You know, I'm going to tell you something, Brian. You brought this up a couple weeks ago, and you forgot your own wisdom, and I'm very ashamed of you for saying this. You brought up that Bruce Bochy had to fire his own hitting coach. Where did that come from? You brought that up, Brian.
Right. But we're talking about, in-game decisions now, though.
But where does it stop?
Well,
Right? If
that's
they
what,
can get, well, I mean, if they can get you to fire your longtime hitting coach because we're in a 10-game streak, at some point they go, hey, Bruce, these are what the numbers say. I don't
I
know.
mean, because I mean, let's face it, Bruce Bochy's an old dude, right?
Absolutely.
He managed for over 20 years uh, between the Padres and the Giants.
Absolutely.
He got his 3 rings. He's just waiting on the day that they finished carving out his gold plaque.
Yeah,
Did he
but
need to come back just to be a figurehead?
no, he wants to win the World Series in the American League. I mean, let's make no mistake about it, right? I mean, because that puts him in the Sparky Anderson, I won a title in both leagues, right? Which is
Right.
rare air. I mean, that gets you into the Hall of Fame for sure. Just like you're in the sports podcasting Hall of Fame, so is he, right?
Yeah, I'm in
Uh,
it so well you can't even pronounce it.
I know. Hey, man, don't hate. Don't hate. It's all that liquor. All right, that's it. You got any more takes in baseball today, Brian?
Oh, yeah. Way to go on a 5-game losing streak, Red Sox. Hey, on a positive note, activated for this weekend. Mike Trout.
Yeah, we'll see. Enjoy that 3 games. You might want everybody at the Angels get a pitcher because it's going to be a while till you see him back putting the uniform back on.
Man,
I'm just telling you, man. We know what's coming. We
he's
know
he's
what's coming.
he's coming back. He's
I
taking the
know.
field in Cleveland, dude. A bandbox. He's gonna probably have 5 home runs. He'll be up there at the big
Oh,
leaguers
yeah.
again.
Yeah, I'd be worried about the cold weather personally, but hey, you're paying the guy $45 million a year. Get him out there. All right. That's it, everybody. Now, for Off the Rails Sports Podcast, if you could, hit that like and subscribe button. It means a lot to us. And, even if you're a troll, leave some comments. I actually got some nice comments this week. It was kind of nice. All right. That's it
Good for
today, and
you.
we'll see you soon on Off the Rails. All right. Later.